Hello everyone, it's me, Star, and welcome to part 4 of my low poly PS1 style Pumpkaboo Gijinka tutorial. Now in this part, we will be making the modular expressions for our character. Now, if you just want to have the one expression that you texture on your character's face and just have them have that one face and they don't change expression, then you don't need to follow this tutorial. But if you do want them to be able to change their expressions and stuff, then, well, that's what this is for. So to start off, I've removed the face off of my character, because that is what these modular expressions are for. And as an explanation, what I basically mean by modular expressions is that essentially the character has different eyes and mouths that could be put into different combinations, like puzzle pieces, to make many different expressions. So, starting out, let's grab our model, go into Object Data Properties, go into UV Maps, rename this UV map to base, and then click on this plus sign, rename this to mouth, tab into edit mode, grab these mouth faces, hit unwrap, rotate that so that it's just sitting in a way where you can just draw on the mouth, and then export it as Pumpkaboo mouth text. Next, select the whole model. Okay, turn off X-ray, control and drag to deselect the mouth parts. Make sure that you have the mouth UV selected, and hit S and then 0 to scale it down to 0, and then just grab it, move it all the way out there. Now, click on the base again and hit the plus, and let's add another one called eyes. Grab the eyes, pull those to the side. Make sure that you have eyes selected. Hit S and then 0, and then pull that off to the side. Now grab this, scale it up, and save that out as Pumpkaboo eye text. Okay, so save that. Now, with our UV maps exported out, let's go ahead and open those up in our art program. Now first, let's start with the mouth. Name the UVs, and you can make as many mouth expressions as you want. This system that I use is basically infinitely scalable, so you can make as many mouths or eyes or whatever as you want. But for the sake of keeping this tutorial short and simple, I will only be making 2 mouths. So let's start out with our first mouth. Call this cat grin. And then duplicate this to make cat grin open. Then hide this one. Then cat grin open. We're gonna open up the mouth. Okay. Now that we've got the basic mouth done, let's add the lips. And I'm gonna add in some color to where the teeth are, so that I'll have something of a background of reference again when I put in the actual teeth color. And when making the teeth, I would recommend that instead of using pure white, I would recommend using a color that's slightly off-white. Because so that way it will still read as being white, while the color will still read as being white, while and you'll be able to add lighting and shading to it, unlike with actual white. go ahead and put this film there. Okay, now let's add the highlights and shading. I'm going to add the initial shade where the lips go over the teeth. And then a little bit of more shade in between where the teeth actually touch one another. Then add another layer for the highlight. And then just add a little bit of highlight to each tooth. Now let's turn that down so it's not as bright. And I like to add little intermittent highlights just going around like that. Let's just go ahead and merge it down. Now let's add the lighting and the shading to the lips. Okay, now for the lips, one thing that you can do to make them look nice and shiny and glossy is to add a very thin but strong highlight around the edges. Let's make sure to save this as a format that can preserve layers. And let's add highlights and shade to this one. Alright, now that we have our mouths done, let's go ahead and save these out. So the first one as Pumpkaboo mouth text 0. And the second one as Pumpkaboo mouth text 1. Now you want to save them out starting from 0 because to Blender, 0 counts as the first one. So if you start numbering them from 1 and onward, Blender will think that the first one is missing. Okay, now let's go ahead and work on the eyes. First, let's change that to be named UVs, and then sketch out the base eyeliner. I'm going to base it on the texture from my Pumpkaboo. Okay, once you have this sketch drawn out, go ahead and save that out. Now let's go back in Blender, go to Shader Editor, go ahead and Shift D to duplicate this a few times. Open our mouth texture, make sure to change frames to 1 and turn on auto refresh, and open up our eye sketch texture. Okay, so first things first, go to Input, UV Map. It's important to have these, so Shift to duplicate 3 of them. Plug this into here. Change the one for the base to base. Change for the one for the mouth to mouth, and change this one for the eye to eyes. Okay, now go into color, mix RGB, take the color from the mouth, put that into color 2, then take the alpha and put that into the factor. Now let's pull this back some. Shift D to duplicate that again. Grab this and put color into color 2 and alpha into the factor. Now, if you don't want your character's pupils or eyes to move around, this is all you need for the setup. This will work perfectly fine for that, but if you do want the pupils to be able to move around and look around, I'll show you how to set that up. Just let's look at this. I think I'll probably bring down eyes a little bit. Okay, that looks good. So I'm gonna go ahead and texture in her eyes. go ahead and make filter called neutral and another one called neutral close. And in neutral, let's make a new layer. Call this eye lines. And let's just go ahead and draw in the eyelashes and eyebrows. Add in the sclera next. Probably close that out. Now let's add the iris. Now if you don't want your character's eyes or pupils to move around, then you can just draw however much of the iris you want to show. But if you do want your character's iris to move around, make sure to draw the whole thing. And you can add a little highlight to the eye. I'm gonna make a little pumpkin shaped one. Save this as a local format that can preserve layers, and let's get on to shooting these layers. Okay, now let's draw the closed eye. So first things first, let's just draw a line going across the eye. And then let's add the eyelashes onto it. Make sure that the closed eye is the same length across as the open eye, since your eye doesn't really get any longer or shorter when you close it. And also try to make sure that that it's not closed exactly at the top or exactly at the bottom. It should be somewhere closer to the middle. Since when you close your eyes, both your upper and eyelids and lower eyelids push together. And then simply draw the eyebrow in the same place where it was for the open eye, since closing your eye doesn't really move your eyebrow. Go ahead and add some shading. Okay, so now with both of our eyes done, if you simply want to, if you don't want your iris to move around, all you have to do is simply save it out the same way that you saved out the mouth textures. Pumpkaboo eye text 1 and Pumpkaboo eye text, well, Pumpkaboo eye text 0 and Pumpkaboo eye text 1. Again, make sure to name the first one 0 so that Blender knows that it's the first one. And then simply change frames to 1 and turn on auto refresh, and you've got your eye textures. Simple as that. Now, if you do want your iris to move around, let me show you how to do that. First, save the iris as its own texture. So, Pumpkaboo iris text. You don't have to add 0 or 1 or anything like that unless you plan on making multiple iris textures to cycle through. So, go ahead and save this out. and then save out. And then you save out the eye without the iris on it as Pumpkaboo eye text 0. And you save out the eye text without the sclera as Pumpkaboo eye mask text 0. Simply save out another copy of your closed eye as Pumpkaboo eye mask text 1. So reopen this so that textures can be reloaded. And now let's get into setting it up so that you can move around the iris texture. So disconnect this, and we disconnect that. Grab these, pull them up here, put this down here. Duplicate this. Make sure you have your eyes UV map selected and press the plus sign. Then call this iris. Hi guys, something I wanted to touch upon real quick that I forgot when I originally recorded this part of the tutorial is that when you make the iris UV map for the model, you need to make sure that you flip one half one half of it, like maybe this half for example. Otherwise the eyes will go in opposite directions when you attempt to move the eye bone. Okay, so just go on to UV editor. Make sure that you only have one part of the eye, like one half of the total eye UV selected, just one half of it, and make sure you're on iris. Select the whole thing, and then I usually just grab the scale tool and just pull it across like that. Just scale it to -1. And then just pull it until it's about right. Alright. Okay. And that's all for that. Now let's just go ahead and take it back to Fake Star of the Past. Yeah, when you press the plus sign, it duplicates whatever UV map you're on. So like if you're on the eyes and you press the plus sign, it should be the same UV map as the eyes. So go ahead and take that, change that to iris text. Iris should be going to color 2. And alpha should be going into the factor. Next, you want to set up the eye mask. So go ahead and grab your 2 mask textures. Make sure to set frames to 1. Okay, set this into color 1. Okay. Mask texture should be plugged into the alpha, and then the setup or previous setup for the mouse texture works just fine. Just duplicate one of these mix nodes. Put the mouth and the face texture into color 1, the eye texture into color 2, and then drag the alpha from the eye texture all the way back here into the factor, plug that into surface, and it works perfectly. Now, it's important that you have the setup like this if you want your character's iris to move around. In my experience, other setups have made it so that the iris does move around, but unfortunately it also just doesn't, like, you know, it extends beyond the boundaries of the eye. It can go all over the face, so just use this setup because I know that it works. Okay, so that does it for this tutorial. In the next part, we will be rigging this character. So that's all for now. Thank you so very much for watching, and have a nice day.